Techyacht made a video called The Complete Timeline of Jujutsu Shenanigans, and some of you told me to react to it. I've been playing Jujutsu Shenanigans for a couple of years now, so hopefully I know all of this stuff. So big shout out to Techyacht because he makes really good videos, and his original video will be pinned in the comment section below.
Since JJS officially turned 2 recently, and it's been 2 years since I've personally started playing the game, today we celebrate.
Oh, JJS just turned 2, damn.
And we'll be going back in time to tell the story and struggles behind Jujutsu Shenanigans. Subscribe to become OP. Exhibit A, the origins of Z.
Okay.
The creator of Jujutsu Shenanigans is named Z, who was already a pretty well-known developer before he even started the creation of JJS. He created games that are a lot different from JJS. He created a JoJo game called Generic JoJo Game, where the main gimmick of the game was every stand was basically a gender swap version of itself. Basically was a Gooner game before the term Gooner even existed. And I'm not sure if Z himself took the game down or Roblox did, because the characters definitely did resemble R63 models. Do not look up what that is, by the way. Please don't do that. But
What is R63 models? Actually, you know what? No. Nobody answer that. Nobody answer that. I don't want to know.
I still think the game was probably enough for Roblox to just say, nah, we good on that, fam. We getting this game out of here. Z also would dabble in making a murder mystery clone called The Fear of Death. Not to be confused with Die of Death. Yeah, we don't want to talk about the game. But The Fear of Death actually looked very interesting and more similar to Among Us than anything else. Like he says here, the game was a smaller project. It didn't really get many updates, so it was discontinued soon after release, but a cool concept nonetheless. Z also made basically a cool tech demo for an unfinished Spider-Man game that I don't think was ever completed. He also let
me see that again.
Z also made basically a cool tech demo for an unfinished Spider-Man game that I don't.
Bro, those physics are good for a Roblox game. What? His hoodie is moving in the air. Z might be one of the GOATs, man. He really might. The fact that JJS has gone on for this long is still crazy to me.
Think was ever completed. He also, like me, is a huge Yakuza fan and created a Roblox game centered around the very popular karaoke minigame that's in the Yakuza series. Then probably the game of his that he's most known for outside of JJS was his contributions towards Rogue Demon. Genuinely one of the first modern Battlegrounds games we would see today. The game itself was created by Ahmed, who is now a developer for JJS. Isn't that wild? But
I did not know that. Ahmed was the owner of Rogue Demon? Yo, this is a good video. I did not know all this stuff.
Rogue Demon for a while was actually extremely popular and would dominate the Battlegrounds genre up until, of course, the release of The Strongest Battlegrounds. But I'm sure Z learned a ton from this game, and he would go on with Ahmed's blessing to found his own big Battlegrounds game that I'm sure he didn't think would get as big as it is today. Exhibit B, how Rogue Kaizen became Jujutsu Shenanigans. The year is 2023. I know about this stuff. Z is finally ready to begin development on a new Jujutsu Kaisen game, which at this point is named Rogue Kaizen, which I assume is because of his origins as a Rogue Demon developer. So the game around this time looked a lot more like Rogue Demon than its own thing at this point.
I think I reacted to these videos before.
The first character we could assume that was created was Gojo, because he was already almost finished before he even started with Yuji. That summer of 2023, he was already posting Gojo's domain and Hollow Purple skills inside of Roblox Studio. And it isn't necessarily clear whether or not these moves were initially made for Rogue Kaizen, but they were eventually used for Chrono Concepts nonetheless. Then that November, Z would go on to start creating Sukuna. And then November 11th of 2020. Then that November, Z would go on to start creating.
That looks like Dismantle's finisher right now, but without the extra effects. But that was probably just a base attack.
Sukuna. And then November 11th of 2023, we see our first look at destruction physics that would become the defining feature of Jujutsu Shenanigans.
Oh my, that fact totally just slipped my mind. I've been playing JJS for so long that it's normal to me now, and the quality of the battleground has improved so much that destruction physics isn't the main thing of JJS anymore. When I first started playing JJS and things were breaking as I was doing the attacks, I felt like I was in Jujutsu Kaisen, you know? Now it's just so normal. That's crazy.
These physics were inspired by a game under the name of Combat Mayhem, an older Magic Arena fighter game on Roblox that unfortunately has since closed, but lives on through just today. We would also see some of Z's personal interest be put into the map design very early on, which is, you know, the Phoenix Wright inspired VFX and textures you can still see today. But it wasn't until November 22nd where the game officially went from Rogue Kaizen to Jujutsu Shenanigans. Toji was actually an early concept for JJS around this time as well, but as we know, he was scrapped before the game was released, but Z has always said he will be eventually added. Kill that boy! Kill that boy!
Yeah, like, I get why Z didn't want to add Toji at those times, because there was a Toji in every Battleground Jujutsu Kaisen game, so he had the opportunity to make characters that haven't been done in other JJK Battlegrounds, and I'm glad he went with that route.
Then in December of 2023, Z would be hard at work with Yuji, and we'd start seeing some really early concepts for Black Flashes in the game and some of Yuji's base moves. We see today, albeit less polished, but interesting differences between back then.
Thank God crushing blows are like that anymore. That's breaking my PC.
And now, just look at how different his domain was compared to how it is now. But early on, JJS was definitely almost cancelled, and it would seem the toughest part about early development was optimizing these destruction physics, as that was a big focus for Z early on. Now the year is 2024, and the game was almost ready for release, but it still needed a bit more polish before it would be finally out publicly. The game would finally get its iconic bald and noob Gojo logo, and the early concepts for emotes, including the best emote in the game, like Piano, was being added since the characters were mostly complete. Domain clashing also seemed to be an early concept that I think was a bit too complex for Z to add at the time. Z around this time would also at every corner announce how he...
Yeah, it's been years that we've been asking for domain clashing. We finally got it now, and I'm very happy with the end result. I'm glad he didn't rush it, so it's okay.
It was a bit too complex for Z to add at the time. Z around this time would also at every corner announce how he hates working on Yuji. He would also start working out early concepts for Gojo and Yuji's ult moveset as well. On January 18th, we would see yet another important feature be born, and that would be the R special, which would become integral to the game's mechanics. And then 2 days later, we would see parkour mechanics be introduced to the game that would be improved upon before the game's release. Then February 1st was the day console and mobile support were both confirmed for the game, which I don't think the game would have ever got as popular if these weren't included. Also in February, Hikari was confirmed and had early concepts for both moves in his domain.
So this is when I got into JJS. I got into JJS when Hikari was early access. I'm not sure if he ever went early access, but it was Hikari times.
Already being developed. Crazy how many changes he would eventually go through as the game would age. Itadori during this time also almost had a projectile in base, which thank God never got finalized. Nobara was almost a character in the game as well, but as we know was eventually scrapped just like early Toji.
I don't think she was scrapped. I think he lost the files, like literally lost the Nobara files and gave up on her ever since. But I'm sure we'll get Nobara one day, especially now because we're getting base only characters, so if he doesn't want to make a full Nobara moveset, he can do that.
Pink Nobara would have been dope, especially now with the way movesets are made. And by the end of February, the map was also complete, and yeah, I'm happy that they eventually decided to change the map because it looks pretty bad. And then in March, it was just finishing touches to Gojo, Sukuna, and Hikari as the game was steadily wrapping up for release. Yuji almost had a move centered around at the time that he used a knife to fight, but this would not make it to the full release either.
Thank God, because Yuji only uses a knife one time in the entire manga, and the panel is on your screen.
And playtest after playtest, and Z having mental breakdowns in the Discord, the game was finally out April 2nd of 2024. A monumental day for Battlegrounds games history indeed. Exhibit C, the dawn of shenanigans. Jujutsu Shenanigans released to well over 10,000 players, and on April 13th, 2024, throwables were added, further completing Z's mission to making the map as interactable as possible. On April 15th, Burst was added, being one of the first in...
I remember that too. Burst has gone through a lot of changes, which he'll probably explain here, but early days Burst wasn't the best.
Battlegrounds history to add a mechanic to counter teaming directly. April 19th, Hikari was finally released publicly and immediately became one of the best characters in the game because of his unique idle death gamble feature. Build mode.
I was a Gojo main though.
Would also allow for players to finally make their own maps. Mega
build mode was added in the same update as 10 Shadows? Damn. I don't know why I feel like build mode is a new thing. Probably because of custom movesets.
Tier 2 as the first zoner character ever introduced to the game. May 17th would be the day Mahito entered the game, and he would be the first character besides Hikari to receive multiple reworks in his moveset eventually. On May
thank you for pointing that out, because boy, Mahito went through so many changes. His moveset was so different. Mahito only has so many variants to his moveset is because those were original moves for the game. I mean, I have a lot of history of Mahito and JJS, man. I made a Mahito explain video and I was pre-firing it because I was expecting the update to come out and release him, and I had already scripted what I needed and just needed the new parts for him. It took months for him to be released, so I sat on an outdated Mahito explain video for months. It was, but my most popular short / TikTok ever is a Mahito clip because of Head Splitter, the original move. I wish he kept that.
25th, Big Raga was released and the game reached its peak player count of 77,000 players because of the hype.
77,000 players is a lot of players, but in today's JGS standards, damn, bro, do they blow that out the park on a regular basis. There was a drought within the last year, but ever since custom moveset, boy.
July 28th, Megami and Big Raga were released to the public, and the game finally reached 100k for its first time, rivaling its rival, the Strongest Battlegrounds, in player count at that time, which surprised literally everyone. August 23rd, 2024, custom servers were added, causing more chaos, and for most of the JGS players to really come out of hiding with all those hotel servers that Z would eventually have to crack down on. September 18th, Mahito would get a Super Awakening rework, and Sukuna would get that super OP infinite Black Flash tech that has since been nerfed. October 19th would mark the day game modes were added with Roulette, a fresh mode for players who were getting bored of the regular mode.
I love that. That's one of the big reasons why JGS has a lot of longevity, is because there's so much to do on it now. You can just play it as a battleground, but you could also play roulette. You could also try custom movesets. You could also build something, you know what I mean?
Moveset blocks were added, and as we know, these would get crazier and crazier as time would go on. But no one knew back then how crazy this could get. Reverse curse technique. November 2nd would mark the
The real ones remember that. There was a glitch in JGS that made you invincible, but you squirted out blood everywhere. So it was like RCT to a certain degree.
Choso would have been added, which was probably the most hated character at first because of how complex he was for most people at that time. On November 10th, Mahito was made free, and the game would reach another peak player count of 120,000 players. And this will be the last record player count for almost 2 years, with many thinking that the game might die out at times.
Are you joking me? Yo, that was a clickbaity video. I don't think I said JGS was dying in that video. It was just, you know, my thought process of what was happening. As I said earlier, there was a drought.
December 8th, Choso was released to the public. This also marked the day the absolute demon would be added, causing absolute chaos in public servers with his clap special. And this would end 2024 for JGS, and what we had in store in 2025 would really question the future of the game forever. Exhibit D, the year JGS almost died. The year is now 2025, probably the worst year for the game in terms of growth. On January 12th, Heian era Sukuna would be added as a private server character. 12th, Heian era Sukuna would be added as a private server character and would also get his own game mode that we all loved, right? We all love that game mode, right? It was so good. February 1st, Ranked would also get ELO, and this might be the day where JGS truly started to get sweaty. Also didn't help that TSB was abandoning their players after the KJ update that happened a few months prior. On February 16th, Toto was released to the public, and he quickly became one of the most annoying characters to fight. This also marked the first time the game would add base-only movesets with Locust Guy, which received so much hate because players hated the idea of him being added to the game instead of their beloved Toji. And this would become a scary pattern for JGS, as players who once loved the game would start to turn their backs on the game. But this wouldn't stop Z, and on March 1st, Higuruma would be added, and with his guard-breaking mechanics, he would quickly become a fan favorite among JGS fans. And on April 1st, 2025, JGS went back in time for the first and last time, as people absolutely hated the return to the old map, and people hated that this update basically added nothing to Higuruma. Luckily, on April 11th, ultimate moves were added to Higuruma, and new items would be added to the game that people could interact with. April 20th would be a big day for Hikari players, as they would receive a rework that made his combo potential downright disgusting. May 11th would mark the debut of Yuki, a cool base-only character that was based around timing your art special for maximum damage. June 2nd was a monumental day for all builders, as the skill builder, albeit was very basic back then, and then also achievements were added, which was an old idea from before the game's release. Movement would also receive a huge rework as well. This update also gave the map various new areas. June 6th would mark Free Higuruma. June 29th would mark the long-awaited release of Yuta and Rika, which is the first character to have a companion help him fight and complete combos. And my personal main today, Charles, was added as a base-only character. July 22nd would...
How did I know Takehapa would be a Charles player? He's probably done horrible things to me in a ranked lobby.
Be Imet's introduction to the development team, marking his departure from Rogue Demon to JGS, finally giving Z some major help. September 2nd would add the iconic Zero...
Oh, I forgot. Z used to do almost everything by himself in the beginning. Now there's a team. Shout out to you guys for optimizing optimizing your workflow.
0.2 domain to the game for Gojo. Yuta would also get Jacob's Ladder, and then on October 12th would make the day Mechamaru was added, which would lead to one of the longest development cycles for a character due to his base being changed many times and his ultimate being very complex to develop for the developers. Yuta was also released to the public. October 25th would be the Halloween event that changed the map completely, and Big Raga also got a costume change. November 16th would mark the debut of Anoya, one of the most powerful characters
now we're in like
game,
modern day
almost
JJS.
Immediately needed to be nerfed. And on November 27th, update 1.67,
also known as Virus 1.67,
was a fan-made historical event in which Head of Hay was dominating the characters due to the bad balance changes which made him even stronger.
so old, gotta run out the high when I play my music so the roof don't fall off.
And December 25th would finally give JGS another peak player count of 151k, and this would be the Christmas update that made it snow everywhere and give Big Raga a huge makeover again, and would be one of the biggest updates. Finally added Mechamaru's final form for his update. This update would mark a turning point for the game as JGS would only get bigger from here. Exhibit E, the current day shenanigans.
Yeah.
The year is 2026 and JGS has exploded in popularity and became the most popular Battlegrounds game easily. January 17th would be Nanami's debut, and he would easily become the most misunderstood character in the game as people were dissatisfied with his moveset, but most just couldn't understand his reliance on his ratio special. This would also mark the day that Mechamaru got gutted and some of his previous moves replaced. Noya was also released for free as well, and this will mark yet another player count record of 278,000. Goku was also added as a overpowered character in private servers, the first guest character to ever be added to JJS. February 20th would mark probably the most hated update of all time, the JSD x JJS collab. And the main reason why people hated this was because Chara wasn't made for JJS and people did not want to touch JSD with a 10-foot pole. And yeah, Mechamaru got released for free. This update did get the game to over 400,000 players.
It did.
February 24th.
It did. It peaked at 600k. I seen it with my own 2 eyes, but that's insane. Pat on your backs to JJS.
Nanami was free. Haruto also made his appearance as one of the most unique characters in the game with his helping hand special combos. Custom movesets also at this point made JJS into the best Battlegrounds game easily with how in-depth they are. It truly changed the game forever. March 20th would be the first time 2 characters would be added to the game at the same time and were both equally hated. These being Hanami and Mei. Hanami for its zoning playstyle and Mei for her insane combos that left you feeling trapped until they both were nerfed. April 1st of this year would also mark yet another anniversary for this game, the second one. And this April Fool's update would be much better received as it added some super fun changes to Manji Kick and, you know, the LARPer himself as well. Mei was also released for free. This update added the 2-year awaited feature of domain clashing and the surprise of beam clashes to the game, which gave the game yet another record-breaking player count of over 450,000 players. Then we have the whole weird female Z trend that proves to me just how strange the JJS community can get. And this will mark currently the most recent timeline event. But I just want to give a personal thank you to JJS for these 2 years of fun and helping me grow my channel to where it is today. I'm a proud player of this game, one of the only Roblox games that I still managed to always have fun on. But as I say in every video, if you guys enjoy this video and like to see more content.
Amazing video, Techie Up. And I have the same exact message, bro. JJS is my beloved. I don't know what else to say. This is the game I got the most growth from YouTube on, and one that I still play to this day for real. It was a nice trip down memory lane. I remember the good times, I remember the bad times, and shout out to Techie Up for putting my video in his video. I think JJS has solidified itself as one of the greatest battleground games ever on Roblox. I don't know if it's better than TSB, but it's up there, and those two are basically the Gojo Sukuna of their verse. But you're probably not done eating your food yet, meaning you have time to watch one more video. So go watch this one where I play Guess Who using JJK characters on a custom JJS map. Millz Mafia out. Yeah.